You know, it's interesting, but I thought about something as I had studied my own life over the last 30 years and over the last 10 years, 12 years. I realized that I have spent so much time analyzing my relationships that I could explain my mistakes that I made with every one of them going back to 2000, 1996. Going back to 1996, going back to Denise, Lily, Marcy. Okay. And I was so good that I had actually got a chance to see Denise and Marcy within this, 10 years of each other apologize before, they died about how my actions were because they both had negative kind of reactions. Denise went to prison. Marcy's had cancer after cancer after cancer. She's been through so many different black men. She never is found peace. Had no kids. She's barren. I mean, the worst things that could happen to her. Come to find out, I didn't really think about this. She was learned disabled. She wasn't going to college. She wasn't going to the military. I mean, when I picked her as a person to date, it was literally a random woman I met outside of a mall. That was the worst choice you could ever make when it comes to picking somebody. Fortunately, she had a stepfather who had a home, but she was a mother. She was a single parent mom who married another man, and he took good care of her. He died, and he liked me. He did. He liked me. Obviously, compared to the kind of guy she probably was dating, I was probably a great catch. And the thing about it that made me really think about this whole thing was the last relationship that I had been, last two, I would say my last relationships last. And I thought to myself, because I sat back and looked at the email that I got from her and the letters that she wrote me, and it taught me something. Because the reality was, it wasn't that I was a bad person. The issue was that I dated somebody that lived so far away from where I was living that just to come see me was a damn journey to another town. You don't date somebody that's in another town. You date somebody that's in your neighborhood. You find someone that's close to you. So the lesson learned here is that that's a big problem. How many times did you have you ever gone down to Jonesboro, Hampton, Lovejoy area? Never. Only time I was down there was when I was staying at her house, and what I had to do. I had to go places that were 5 miles away. Rarely drove 10 miles away, unless I was going to go Uber. So that's the life. It's in those 5 miles. And so the lesson learned I realized was that um, maybe I just told it was wrong, and the choices that I made to date people. Okay, maybe I was wrong in the choices I had to date people. I and when it came down to dating her, the interesting thing I have to say was that I was uh, I was thinking that I was a really, really bad guy, but I was really, I really wasn't a bad guy. The lesson I learned from that whole experience was that I was, I got to the point where I stopped being unselfish. I stopped being unselfish. Yeah. And that was the proud. I was very happy for me because when I look back at all the money I spent in my house, buying stuff for myself that I ended up having to throw away, I realized I was very selfish. When I got those credit cards and I moved into that apartment in 2016, I stayed there 8 years, and the amount of stuff I purchased over that period of time was ridiculous. Um, and then having to throw it away, and then thinking I'd always have a job. I'd always have a job. Get sick? No, I'm not getting sick. But that's not true. You got sick. And I thought about it. I said, how much was staying with Shay the cause of me getting sick faster? Or how much was it that I was going to get sick automatically because I wasn't getting the proper diagnosis from the doctor? Remember, I was going to Emory Healthcare. I was getting my blood sugar checked. I never was told. When I found out I had blood clots, I found that out by the doctor and at Emory, at Shaliford Road. And I ran to the doctor, the hospital, and I had been having blood clots for a long time because my legs were swollen. I had pictures of it for a long time. And I realized looking back on it, I had blood clots probably for like 3, 4 years. And it exacerbated when we had COVID because I was sitting in the house all day. I wasn't moving. I was eating all day. I wasn't even going down the stairs to do walking. Wasn't doing crap. I had that memberships again at LA Fitness, which there was like 4 of them in my area. I had plenty of gas money until 2022 when I got that job and I got fired from the office of the law office, Spalding, something in Spalding. And it pissed me off how I got fired. I really was really angry because the whole time I got hired, the white people that were in the job of voice engineer, the skill set that I went to go study for, they were doing the work. They didn't need me. I wasn't even needed in that role. I should have never got hired for that company. And that's the hardest part, to need a job. Because you need a job, you take every job you get. And then you find out once you take it, they didn't want you. And that happened twice. So the lesson learned from that was that you gotta always just prepare to be fired. Save your money. Don't spend, don't buy stuff, don't accumulate stuff. You can't even go on trips, man. You can't go nowhere. You can't do anything. You gotta just save that 1 year salary up, and just save that 1 year salary up. That's the lesson I had to learn. Save that 1 year salary up. I didn't do that. I regret that, and it's a lesson learned, man. It's a lesson learned. The thing about it is, you think that after you've been in a so-called minister world, you would have got all these revelations from God, but I really realized I hadn't got any closer to Him from the moment I got saved till today. I did a lot of stuff in the name of Him. I went to Raymond. What difference that made? Wanted to go to Roberts University. Didn't go there. Went to the prayer lines. What difference that made? I never got answers to prayer. Anytime something happened, there was always a negative to it that always kind of came with whatever I was asking God for. While I saw my old church manipulate those poor blacks, use them and use them and use them, and many of them get kicked out because they lose their faith, and I understand why. And then they go get another batch of kids, the next generation, and do the same thing. I hope they get judged. I want them all judged. I want them judged. But the good news is, if I got judged, they'll get judged. And I'm happy for that. So the lesson I can say I've learned in that regard was that okay, okay, okay. So for me, that's the hardest part I can say. That's the hardest part that I can say. Turn that off. Such yes for the kids of next generation. Anyway, so yeah, the copycat. Was but anyway, I thought about it. I said, the last girl I met her at a club, at a party for a woman that works at AT&T. It was the most easiest thing to do. I wish I never dated her. Not because of her only, but because of me. I needed to really find myself. I needed to take care of me. I had nothing when I left Oklahoma, and now I have nothing again. And so it's very frustrating. And I got taxes due, and words can't explain how messed up life is. It wasn't what I anticipated or expected. I tried my best to you know, keep the bridges that I had open in my life as I thought they would be bridges. They weren't. The lessons I learned, sadly, was kind of, and there was no bridges in Oklahoma. There was no bridges at Rhema. There was no bridge at OU, ORU. There was no bridges in church. And there's definitely no bridges at work. So the lesson I learned really was you're on your own. You're by yourself. You're on your own. Um, oh God, look how small they is. They small as heck. They gonna lose. They losing. Look at that size. You see that? Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. I was not surprised that one. Wow. So the lesson learned like, from this Downing was that when it came down to it, her ex boyfriend, the one that was I guess supposed to be that she chose, he cheated on her. He went after other women. He stayed with her. He used her. That's why I gotta pay her back. That's why I gotta pay her back. I would say I was there at her house from December 23rd until technically October 10th. But I left between May, June, July. I was working and living in my car because I couldn't get up and down the stairs. And then her brother was upstairs with his fan on, doing his so-called military reserve job. I know it's weird, but again, he's a reservist. He's been doing it since his reservist for 20 something years. So he got his GI Bill, he's got his college fund, he's got everything. He did it all. I wish I had that. I ain't give myself, as you already know. Life is unfair. It's unfair. But as I thought about it, I said, you know what? I had no help. My mama couldn't help me. Father couldn't help me. Grandparents couldn't help me. Grandmas couldn't help me. Where you get help at? You have support systems. If there's no support, you screwed. Nobody cares about tug of war. Anyway, back to my point. As I could sit back and see the game being played, I realized that I thought that I made better choices in how I treated Shay. Other than never should have gone back 3 to 4 times to that woman. But let's be clear. Did you really have a relationship with her in the 6 years? No. You were just on the telephone. You were just driving to her house. She would come to your house at certain times, like when I had my teeth taken out. She said, I helped you when it hurt. When did it hurt? She said that, when she had to help me, it hurt her. I'm like, man, I never made you spend a dime on me. You didn't buy me a bunch of stuff. I didn't even let you buy me stuff. You didn't. I didn't make you, you know, drive up to my house every weekend. I did all that. I got rental cars and spent $300 a weekend just to come and see you. I did that. I remember I met her in 2013. I didn't get my first car until 2016. That's 3 years of spending all that money. All right. So the lesson I learned was, wait a minute, that's not right. That's not right. Um, I look back on it and I said, maybe maybe I am being duped here. Maybe I'm being played. Maybe she's running plies. But instead of arguing back on who lied for what, who did what, time always will tell what happens to us. So if I am a liar and I'm evil and I have done all these horrible things, may I be judged. That's all I'm going to say. And if this is judgment, well, I accept the consequence. Right? But again, um, may I be judged. So that's the lesson learned here. May I be judged. I don't think I should be judged. But I will say this: I'm gonna deal with it and then just look at it. The good news is, I wrote tons and tons of messages over the years. I did blogs over the years. I sent to her blogs. Many of those blogs are gone now because I don't have them. I destroyed them off of Google Drive. So, okay. But you know what? I thought about it. Um, I said, well, hey, if I'm a bad guy, I accept total responsibility. And I hope you take responsibility for your actions too. But the lesson learned was if you are so broken, you had no relationship, no ability to the date, I should have never dated you. Don't date a man. Just live till you're 70 years old, and when you're free and you got money, then go date. God bless you. Hope you find somebody at 70. That's the life lesson. That's the life lesson. So I wanted to think about that, and I thought about it. I said, Lord, I'm not her ex. I'm not trying to die as a cheater, as a person that uses women, as a person that is using women. I'm saying that again. That's okay. I'm saying that again. If I die, it'd be because I was an overeater, but it not because I was trying to use women. I tried to learn from every relationship that I had in my life to the point where I talked about it so much that girls would probably be like, you know what? I don't want to know about all that because I hate to say it. Let me tell you why. Because women don't talk about their relationships. So why would a woman want to hear you talk about yours when they don't want to talk about theirs? You understand what I'm saying? Because if they have to talk about theirs, it's going to make them have to judge themselves. When they judge themselves, now they have to face themselves. And when they face themselves, they have to say it ain't all the guy's fault. Goes back to what we learned from Kevin Samuels. When Kevin Samuels made women face themselves, they hated him. But then they look at their life and they say, why am I so single at 50? Why am I so single at 40? Why have I had 15 boyfriends in 20 years? I've got 4 kids out of wedlock. I don't want to judge myself, but you have a big part to be judged by. You understand? So that's a lesson I could truly say that I realize. And of course, what that does, of course, is it makes you judgmental. But you know what? We are judgmental. I used to say to myself, man, I'm not judgmental. You gotta be judgmental. How do you judge sin? If you're a Christian, you judge sin. You judge right and wrong. You have to judge sin. That's the whole purpose of being a believer. You see something that's wrong against God's word and you judge it. That's just the way it is. So I learned that. That's something I learned. It's not you are you're a judge in the sense of a jury trial and you put them in jail. No. That's a different kind of judging. Because we're not putting nobody in jail. We're not giving nobody a death penalty. But their actions could give themselves a death penalty, right? Because of what they do to other people. I have to say honestly, I tried to rarely ask Shay for money because I was really hoping that I would have a job in those interviews that I got from those recruiters. But every single white man that I ended up talking to, mostly on video, they saw my resume full of excellence and they still didn't want me. it was still racism. I call it out. I speak it. I knew it was. It was racism, and I'm angry. But God ain't care. You know what I mean? But that's what I do. Because I understood if you had given me a fair chance to learn the stuff, I'd learn it. But when you always try to say to me, well, you don't know this and that just came out yesterday. Hell, no one else knows it either. But you let the white man learn it on the fly. I can't. That's racism. That's racism. So I'm studying for cybersecurity right now. I'm gonna pass this cybersecurity exam, and then of course they'll say to me, "Well, you don't have the experience." That's racism. That's exactly what it is. It's like f you, move on. I don't got time for this. I'm done. I'm done. But it pisses me off though. It pisses me off though. Oh yes. But the good news is, God, is that okay. This ain't the rest of the question. Gotta practice on Linux. Sorry. But I thought about that. I said, Henry, um, and I learned this is the sad part about it. Every woman you meet is gonna have their same different problems, like you got yours. But the key is, my key is, if I spend all this time talking about my relationships with my exes and you don't, I don't want to talk to you. I'm judging you. That's the way it is. And it ain't about sex anymore because we all old. So sex the last thing. I'm not having any kids. We all old. So it's about honesty. It's about compatibility. It's about being able to and it's about just being able to say, listen, man, I respect me too much to lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you because I respect you. You understand what I'm saying? And that's key. That's key. So today, as you saw in the message, and how the message tone was, it was never quote unquote honesty. It was never straight respect. It was only a statement of, you want things your way, you want things your way. Man, please. It's all I cared about was my stuff. I never told you what to do with your things. I just want my stuff. So when it comes to being responsible, controlling, it's like when it comes to my stuff, that's my stuff. The only thing I gotta deal with is when you're available to get my stuff. I just really hope that I can be able to, you know, I hate to say it, get a job where I could be able to get $20 an hour. You know what I mean? If I can't get nothing, get something. You feel me? I just wanted to get something. And then as far as what Shay is concerned, I stayed at her house. I lived upstairs. I used the water toilet. I used the water. I got a small little section in the refrigerator for nothing. Fortunately, I had food stamps, so I rarely had to make her buy any food for me. And I didn't lose any weight, which is kind of sad because I lost more weight in this experience of being in the hospital than I ever did being at her house or in my house, which is the real problem here. And that problem was that I ate too damn much. So that's the lesson I learned the hard way. And I'm sorry to myself, man. I'm sorry to myself. Well, words cannot express how sorry I am because I've got these consequences of my right hand that might have to have, but never heal, and stuff like that. Yeah, sad, right? I get pissed off. What? You have to go to a point where you realize I was never sick the whole time I was dating her. I went from a good-looking black man in 2013 to a fat obese guy, which was the guy that he should have never been because I hanged out with a fat obese girl. You just can't do it. You can't win. Fat people don't date fat people. Fat people don't date at all until you learn how to be slim. And if you don't learn how to be slim, don't date. It's not fair. When I look back at the situation where I was in the nursing home, and there was a guy in the nursing home who had been there for like a year, and he barely could walk. I mean, he can't walk. I doubt he probably doing physical therapy, but I doubt it's working. He is severe disabled, and he had like 3 kids with one woman. That's somewhere in Ohio. Then he found a girl from Trinidad, brought her here, and made 2 kids with her. Well, guess what? He ends up having the two strokes, and he's in the hospital. He's all he's talking about every day was that it's weird because he had his brain. He had his brain, but he didn't have his arm. He didn't have his leg. So that's the sad part about these type of things. But he said he had a brain bleed, but he also was a guy who was very cognizant of his life. He kept me could not like me. He had a lot to say, but he wasn't reflective in making a video like I'm making a video. He was just he was a master manipulator. To one person he say this, to the next person he said the complete opposite of what he said to the other person. So he would be like, whatever the person wanted, he would be that for that person. And he would always say stuff out of his mouth. He says, it's about the chase, man. It's about the chase. He would chase married women. He would chase single women. He would chase nurses. He would chase every woman. But he had to realize I can't even move my body, which means I can't even have sex. So what is the use of me trying to talk to a girl when I can't even move? I'm handicapped. That was crazy. And he would have his brother come up and visit, and him and his brother, all they do was talk about women. That's all they did. Talk about women they've been with, women they are with, and then his sons would come up, and they would be like looking at their dad, looking kind of sad, And then he had 2 baby kids that were young. So this guy kept making kids, and then this happens, and I'm asking myself, was that the will of God? If there's a will, I don't think that was it. It's my opinion. Because the facts of the matter is, we were all set up based upon how our parents' financial situation was when we were brought in the world. And that's it. When our financial situation put us in the world, we were all set up wrong. Just being factual. And so I thought about that, and I said, wow, you know. And so he was like, just like the other black guy that was across the hall. All they kept doing every day was yelling for nurse, nurse, nurse. And the nurses wouldn't barely come because it's like I ain't gonna be waiting for you. You ain't calling me. So sometimes people be waiting for 4 5 hours for a nurse to come in their underwear, soiled underwear. Just dirty underwear. I'm so grateful that nobody here is in that situation because it was a nightmare at the rest of the home. It was a nightmare. Hearing people screaming for nurse and just oh God, you feel so sick. And this would be like at 1 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, stuff like that. You can really go to sleep. I got more sleep here in this place than I ever had at the place I was at. I mean, really. That's the only way you can heal yourself is by getting that rest. You know. But the lesson learned I could say from my experience was that God is particular. He's particular. He has his favorites and he has his unfavorites. And don't be on his unfavorite side. Legacy systems, yes, a legacy system. I'm really working hard to memorize and understand the questions because this is the learning. It's not just passing the test. It really is. If a guy asks me this question or interview, I know exactly what the answer is because it's that. That's what you write your research papers on. Is that what you help you get your master's degree? Passing the test is just a 3 year pass. You know, my brain is alert, which I'm really grateful for. Amen. But I thought about that as far as her first love, the one that she lost. She picked the wrong guy for the get go. Me, I guess she picked the wrong guy for the get go too. As bad as she makes me out to be, I guess I am. I gotta have to just admit to myself, I picked wrong women. So that's the lesson I have to say I've learned from this experience. You know, and I'm very grateful to learn these things. Now, my kidneys are really important to me. I'm drinking a lot of water. Drink more water. Drink a lot more water. Drink a lot more water. And the medication, I think it could be the medication is affecting my kidneys. I don't know which is worse, taking the meds or not, but I'm not sure. I think the medicines have been affecting my kidneys. I gotta drink a lot more water due to the amount of medication I'm taking. So I'm gonna drink a lot of water now since I just had that medication a few minutes ago. In Jesus' name, but I hate to say it, it's like a catch 22. What do you do? Have high blood pressure and have a stroke, or take medication and have kidneys? You know, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Again, the other side of that coin, I could truly say, has been that as it relates to relationships, I think that I'm just so happy. Now I expect Shay to put all her time in her sorority because she got nothing else. And that's good. Should have done that a long time ago. And for me, put my time, my fraternity, because I got nothing else. And at this moment in time, I don't want anything else. You know, I always want to get healthy. I just want to get strong And actually, I want them to get strong and healthy. You know, get strong and healthy. That's the biggest thing.